Dre all day.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, insights, strategies, approaches, mindsets, and techniques, all underneath of one umbrella that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is your number one key for the year 2022. And I'm gonna tell you what that is in 1 second. First of all, let me tell everybody that I send out a daily motivation text every single day straight to your phone, free of charge. All you got to do if you want to receive that text is send me a text at the same number that I'll be texting you from. That number is 305-384-6894. Once you text me there, you'll be getting my daily motivation text every day straight to your phone. And you can text back and reply to any text that you get at that number, because that is me directly that you are texting with. That number again, 305-384-6894. Now, today's topic, first of all, last year I told you in episode 1693, exactly 365 episodes ago, I told you the number one thing to focus on for the year 2021. So I think I'm gonna make this a theme every year on the first of the year. I'm gonna give you a theme to focus on for the year. Last year, the theme was focusing on people, getting the right relationships and the right connections in place. If you did not listen to episode 1693, good for you, because even if you missed it, it is a evergreen topic. Even though I made it for the first of the year of 2021, it's an evergreen topic. Doesn't matter what year it is, go listen to that episode. This year, your number one key for the year 2022, let me tell you, without any further suspense, is to play life on offense. That is what that's the theme for the year 2022, play life on offense. First of all, let's get a clear definition of what I mean when I say play life on offense. The definition of offense, there are many definitions of the word offense. It could be offense, and it depends on how you use it. But the definition for the way that I'm using it, playing on offense, is the action of attacking someone or something, being aggressive, going after what you want. That is what I mean when I say play on offense. Even those of you who are not sports fans, everyone here understands the concept of offense, right? In basketball, offense is when you have the ball, you have an opportunity to score. In football, defense is when you don't have the ball and the other team has the opportunity to score. Now, there are times you can turn defense into offense, but to score, for the most part, you need to be on offense. And playing life on offense means you are putting yourself in a position to score over and over again. You are being aggressive, you are attacking, you are going after what you want. So that's what I mean when I say playing life on offense. Everybody following me up to this point? Good, because that's what we're getting into for today's episode. So I don't need to give too much more introduction to this one. Let's get right into the points. Point number one, the topic once again is your number one key for the year 2022 is playing life on offense. It is better to be bold and aggressive than it is to be timid, hesitant, regretful, and broke. And in broke, we can mean in money, we can mean in opportunity, we can mean in fulfillment and happiness and knowing that you did what you wanted to do. You don't want to be broke in any of those areas. So it's better to be bold, better to be aggressive. I told you about being bold, and we talked about that a lot here on this show in different ways. But in episode 909, I told you about giving yourself permission to make a bold move. And when we talk about aggression, I've explained that many times here. A lot of people have we've been socialized to believe that aggression is a negative thing. Aggression is not a bad thing. First of all, you have to understand what aggression actually is and then how to use it in the right way. In episode 1223, I told you to be aggressive. In episode number 742, I said if you're not going to be aggressive, get the hell out of the way. Episode 420, getting aggressive to make shit happen. You got to be able to interrupt people's patterns, including your own. In episode number 1408, aggression versus neediness and getting what you want. All those episodes are linked down below in the show notes. Being bold and aggressive gives you opportunity to make things happen. It gives you the opportunity to score. Many people, many of you who are listening to me right now, what is stopping you is not your lack of skill, opportunity, or resources. It's the fact that you are being too timid, you are hesitating too much, you are and because of that, you're ending up regretful and broke in terms of the results that you want, because you're just not going aggressively enough towards what you want. Let me tell you some truths about life. And if I get any of these truths incorrect, you can check me on any one of them. Here's the first truth. When you're aggressive, people and life will move out of your way and they will actually follow your lead. They'll go from trying to stop you to actually following whatever you say or whatever you want to do. They'll just get right behind you. Now, I actually said I'm going to say this as the truth, and you can check me if I'm wrong. But let me not even say that. I'm just going to tell you that this is the truth, because many of you, to be honest, my experience dealing with human beings, many of you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, because you have never actually lived this out before. So you're going to take my word for this. Okay, you're going to take my word because you trust me on every other episode I give you here on the show. So trust me on what I'm telling you here. When you are bold and aggressive, people will move out of your way and they will get behind you and follow your lead. Life will move out of your way and actually create space and opportunity for you to do the things that you want to do when life sees that you are being bold and aggressive about what you want. This is just how it works. When you're willing to be aggressive, you won't have to go any further than just having that energy, and everything's just going to get out of your way. You're going to get all the green lights to go where you want to go and do what you want to do. When you are bold, you create opportunities for yourself. In the 48 Laws of Power, which happens to be my favorite book, chapter 28, Robert Greene's, of that book written by Robert Greene, says, enter action with boldness. And in the introduction to that chapter, before he even gets into the explaining the law in so much detail, one of the things that Robert says is that when you are bold, you move objects and you move obstacles out of your way. But when you are timid, on the other hand, you actually put objects in your way. You create blockages for yourself when you are being timid, because a timid person they see danger, they see risk, they see failure at everything that they look at, whereas a bold person can look at the exact same things and they see opportunity, or they see something that's just, I'm just going to run over that or go around it, or it's going to get the hell out of the way because this vehicle is not stopping. All right, I'm going to keep moving forward. So that's what happens when you're bold. You create opportunities for yourself. And there are many of you out there, some of you whom I know personally, who have the skill set to be great in certain areas. The problem is you're not shooting your guns. Shooting your guns means you see the opportunity and you're just not going for it. You're just not taking the shot. I remember I was watching, there's a TV show that the NFL, or I guess HBO and the NFL do in conjunction every year. It's called Hard Knocks. And Hard Knocks is when a camera crew from HBO or wherever they're from, they follow a NFL team during training camp, which is the preparatory period before the NFL season. This is actually a really good show. Even if you're not a football fan or football player, it's an interesting enough show. I'm not a huge football fan, but I like sports. And what the show does is just goes through certain storylines, certain players, following players around, seeing what the coaches are talking about in their meetings, how they're evaluating players, how the coaches decide who's going to make the roster, who's not going to make the roster. And they're just talking about how practice went this day and how players are dealing with the fact that they're in training camp. Some of them may be veteran star players that you've heard of, and they're just getting ready for the season. Then you have players who are fringe guys who are just trying to make the league, and they're just hoping that they can catch on with the team so that they can get a steady paycheck and take care of their families. And I remember I was watching this show, Hard Knocks. This had to be about 10 years ago. I was watching one of them. I haven't watched it in a while, but it's a very good show. And there was a coaches meeting, and in the meeting, all the coaches are sitting around, and these are defensive coaches, and they're just talking about certain players, and they're trying to decide, because not everybody who comes to a training camp actually makes the roster. So the training camp is kind of like a casting call, if you will, in sports, where there might be in basketball, for example, an NBA team might invite 20 players to training camp, but only 12 players make the roster. So there is a high level of competition there. And because you might have 10 players already with guaranteed contracts, there's really only 2 spots up for grabs. So it's not 12 spots up for grabs, might only be 2. And everybody knows that, all right, these are the only 2 spots up for grabs. How can I get one of these 2 spots? It's the same thing in football. It's just the numbers are a little bit bigger because there are more players on a football team. But in this particular meeting, the coaches were talking about a guy who was trying out for the safety position defensively. And they were watching the film and showing how this guy was not, he wasn't being aggressive enough defensively in terms of making hits and making plays on defense. And one of the coaches said, hey, this guy, I don't know about this guy because look, he's in position. He's in the right place where he's supposed to be. The problem is he's not making plays. He's not attacking. He's not being aggressive. He doesn't seem very confident in his skills when he's out there on the field. And one of the other coaches chimed in and said, yeah, right, he's in the right place, but he's not shooting his guns. He's not shooting his guns when he's in the right spot. And the other coaches concur, like, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And for many of you, that's exactly what's going on. You are being hesitant, timid, and a little bit too, tentative and going after what you want. And this is exactly why you're not getting the results that your skill set suggests you should get. But I want you to understand, with everything that I'm telling you here, being bold and aggressive, it does come with a caveat. So I don't want you to just go out here running like a chicken with his head cut off and just run your head through a stone wall just because I said it. Let me offer you the rest of the information here. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is your number 1 key to the year 2022 is be aggressive. Play life on offense. Number 2, you can only be bold and aggressive when you know what the hell you're doing. So I want to make sure I'm being clear here. Even though I'm telling you to be bold and aggressive, I'm not telling you to just go out there and just be bold and aggressive at everything, because you ain't good at everything. So here's the questions. What are you great at? Where do you already have skills in place? In what fields, in what areas, in what disciplines are you the smartest person in the room? And how often, knowing this, how often are you putting yourself in that room or those rooms so that you can utilize your boldness? You can utilize this aggression. You can utilize this ability to play life on offense. So when I tell you to put yourself out there and to be bold, I don't mean just to play life on offense and be bold. I don't mean just go around and haphazardly be bold at things in which you actually have no skill set, no credibility, and no reason to be bold. I mean being bold in your zones of genius. Your zone of genius, for those of you who are not familiar with that phrase, think of the 3 things that you do best that are actually marketable. Marketable meaning you can make money from them. What are the top 3 things that you do that you could actually get paid for? That's your zone of genius. That's it. I don't want to talk about the thing that you're 4th best at or 7th best at or what you could be somebody else doing. Now you want to try it. Your zone of genius are the top 3 skills that you have that you can actually charge money for. Up to 3. It doesn't have to be 3. It could be 1 thing if you want it to be. I mean, look at Tiger Woods, Serena Williams. It's 1 thing that you know them for, and that 1 thing is plenty of enough for each of those individuals. Not to say they're not good at anything else, but those are the things that we know them for, right? And I think they're compensated enough in that 1 thing that if they didn't have anything else, they'd be all right. So what is your zone of genius? Up to 3 things that you're great at that you can charge money for and have been paid for. Your areas of expertise. What are those for you? And my question is, since I'm telling you to play on offense, how often and how much time are you spending working in those zones of genius? So if your main thing is computer programming, how much time every day are you spending doing computer programming versus how much time you're spending doing everything other than computer programming, like marketing and selling and what's other things you're doing, updating your website and posting on social media, trying to get followers? How much time rather are you spending in the things that you're actually great at? And versus how much time you're spending in things that you're not great at, and why? When you get the answer, I want to know why. Why are you spending time doing things that you're not great at? Why are you spending time doing things that you can't even make money at? Why are you spending time doing things? Well, I know some of these reasons, but why you come up with the reason? Why are you spending time doing stuff that is not in your zone of genius, is not marketable for you, i.e. you are not skilled enough to charge anybody money for that skill? And yeah, why are you doing this? Let's just leave it at that. Those 2 questions. So first you got to know what your zone of genius is, and then you have to look at your actions, not your ideas, not your desires, but your actual actions, the things that you're really doing every single day, and ask yourself, how much time am I spending in the areas in which I'm great? And if that time is not sufficient for you, then ask yourself, why is this? Why am I not doing the things that I'm actually good at? That'd be a good question to ask, right, for a lot of people. Let's move on to point number 3 while you ponder on that one. Today's topic, once again, number 1 thing to focus on for the year 2022 is to play life on offense. Number 3, you are better off making errors of commission than errors of omission, which means, very simply stated, you are better committing to something. That's the error of commission, commitment. You are better committing to something and doing it and messing up and doing something than not committing to something, sitting on your hands, doing nothing, hesitating, thinking about it, but never taking action, and then finding out that you made a mistake by doing nothing. So if you're going to make a mistake being bold and aggressive. Don't make a mistake being timid and hesitant. Make the mistake of actually doing something. Kinetic energy, which is energy in motion. Don't make the mistake of sitting around and wasting potential energy, which is energy that could do something if somebody would actually activate it. Many of you have a lot of potential energy, not a potential period, but you're not activating it. It never becomes kinetic. So you're making errors of omission. You're sitting around thinking about what you could do, talking about what you should do, but you're not actually doing it. And or you're spending a whole lot of time, you're utilizing kinetic energy, but you're utilizing kinetic energy at things in which you have no skill. You are not marketable. You can't make money from it. You can't charge anybody for it, but you're spending a whole lot of time doing it. Why are you doing this? You are better off making errors of commission in your zones of genius. That's an update to the statement, than errors of omission by either not focusing on your zone of genius and or focusing on areas that are not within your zone of genius. Be bold, take action, take initiative to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen, and apologize afterwards rather than asking for permission beforehand. A bunch of you right now have things that you want to do, have things that you're thinking about doing that, again, I'm saying specifically that are within your zone of genius that you are not doing because you're waiting for someone to give you permission, i.e., you're waiting for someone to tell you this is a good idea. You're waiting for someone to show you that maybe it might work out. You're waiting for someone to co-sign the actions that you're going to take. If it's within your zone of genius, meaning it is one of your top 3 skills that is actually marketable that you can make money from, you don't need anybody's permission to take action on it. Now, if it's not in your zone of genius and you need to be able to answer the question, is this in my zone of genius or not? There should not be a question. After you ask it, there should be a clear answer. That's what I mean. It shouldn't be stuck as a question. Nobody should have to ask someone else, hey, is this thing in my zone of genius? You know when something's one of your top 3 skills that you can charge money for. Because charging money for something and getting paid for it, that's a black and white. That's not a matter of opinion. Has it happened or has it not? If something is not in your zone of genius, then that's not where you want to make these errors of commission, because you're committing yourself to something that you might mess up at. All right, it's not in your zone of genius. Commit yourself to actions in areas in which you are a genius, in which you are great. This is how you create opportunities for yourself in other areas which may not be your areas of zone of genius or zones of genius. Let me tell you how this works. When you focus on the things that you're great at, the ROI that you produce in being great at those things, what it does is it opens up opportunities and creates space for you to get opportunities in other things. That's what the zone of genius does. When you focus on the things that you're great at, you create opportunities in things that you're not so great at. And you don't have to be great at. You can leverage the 80-20 principle here, that you don't have to be amazing at it, but just because you're amazing at other things, you get some opportunities that just kind of fall when you're at in the process. This is how, for example, you take a professional athlete, take somebody like LeBron James, who's a pretty famous guy, or Serena Williams or Tiger Woods, any of them. And if you read up about these people and you read up about their business ventures, right? We know these people might have charities, nonprofit organizations, sponsorship deals. They might buy into other companies and have part ownership of other businesses. They might start their own businesses outside of playing their sports. We hear about this all the time from athletes, right? Or actors or anyone who's famous, and they have, it's publicly noted that they made a lot of money doing one specific thing. But then they have all these other things going on the side, right? We hear about this all the time from all kinds of people, especially in the entertainment world. Now, here's the thing that I want you to think about. Is any of these people really, is that their zone of genius is it LeBron James' zone of genius to shoot movies? Is it Tiger Woods' zone of genius to do sponsorship deals? Is it Serena Williams' zone of genius to put together a documentary, or any of these things that they're doing? Is it any of these people's, is it Tom Brady's zone of genius to start a nonprofit organization? No, their zones of genius are the things that we know them for. All right, tennis, soccer, tennis, golf, basketball, football. That's their zone of genius. That's the thing that they do great. And they could just do that one thing and they'll be pretty good. Because they're so good at that one thing, and because they've created so much return on investment from that one thing that they focused on, what does it do? It creates opportunities for them in other areas in which they might not have any skill whatsoever. But because they're so good at that one thing, people want to be around them. People want to deal with them, and they'll get other opportunities in areas in which they're not great. And this is what they can do. They can go find the people who do have some competence in those areas, put their name on it, they can rubber stamp it, throw some money behind it, and then they can get the ROI, participate in the return on investment from those other things in which they don't even have any genius whatsoever, simply because the opportunities found them because they were so great in the first thing. See, you do well enough in your zones of genius, it creates opportunities for you outside of the zone of genius. The challenge for many of you is that you're trying to create opportunities outside of your zone of genius before you have even mastered being good in your zone of genius. You're doing the operation backwards. Any of you took algebra class in school? What happens when you perform the incorrect order of operations? You get the wrong answer. And many of you are getting the wrong answer because you are performing the operations backward. The cascading effect of focusing your resources at their strongest points of attack is that you get other opportunities on the back end, not trying to create other opportunities and then focus on what you're good at. This is why it's not working for you. You don't need to be good at everything, people. Focus where you are great. And it could be one thing, two things. Just focus on those. You do those well enough, the great few will subsidize the mediocre many. That's the mindset that I want you to keep in mind. Let me say that phrase one more time. Focus on your zone of genius, and the great few will subsidize the mediocre many. All that said, let me recap today's class, which is your number one key for the year 2022 is playing life on offense. Offense defined as, in this sense, the action of attacking someone or something. Number one, better to be bold and aggressive than to be timid, hesitant, regretful, and broke. When you are aggressive, people in life will move out of your way. They will follow your lead. They will actually work on your behalf. When you are bold, you create opportunities for yourself. You got to be willing to shoot your guns. When you're being hesitant, timid, and tentative, you're not going to get the results that you want, even if you have all the skill. Point number two, but remember, you can only be bold when you know what the hell you're doing. Where are you great? Where do you already have the skills in place? Where are you the smartest person in the room? And how often are you spending time in that room? And if you are not spending a lot of time in that room, why the hell not? When I tell you to play life on offense, I don't mean go around and just haphazardly be bold at things in which you have no skill set and no credibility and no reason to be bold. Again, this is another way that you can perform operations incorrectly. Be bold in your zones of genius, but you need to know what they are. And point number three, you are better off making errors of commission in your zone of genius than errors of omission, meaning staying out of your zone of genius. So be bold now and apologize later rather than asking for permission before you actually get bold. When you do this in your areas of genius, you create opportunities for yourself in other areas in which you might not even be that much of a genius. Again, this is how a pro athlete can start a film business or a nonprofit, even though they know nothing about filming or nonprofits, simply because they created so much ROI in their zone of genius, they get other opportunities that they have no skill set for whatsoever. This is the way it works. The great few subsidize the mediocre many, but you must focus on the great few enough and until it produces enough return that it can subsidize everything else that you want to be involved in. All this said, send me a text so you can get my daily motivation text every single day straight to your phone every day this year, next year, and until. The number is 305-384-6894. And inside of my Bulletproof Mastermind, you can get help. Any of you is trying to figure out what is your zone of genius, where should I focus, how do I focus on it, how do I actually create the return investment in that zone of genius. We'll help you out with all of that. All you got to do is go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, click the button for the Bulletproof Mastermind. You can join. You can be inside of it within the next 10 seconds. You can be inside. Well, you might not be able to type your information that quick, but you get what I'm saying. Inside of the Bulletproof Mastermind, that is at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.